In this lesson, we'll be given scatter plots and we'll be asked to identify and interpret the slope and the y-intercept in terms of the context of the data. So we'll start with this graph of music store charges. And the slope, I can find two lattice points that are convenient. So here's one and there's another. And I'm going to do rise and run. I can see this is a positive slope. So I'm going up by 2 and I'm going over by 2. And so that's a slope of 1. And what is the interpretation of this slope? That, remember, slope is rise over run. The rise is monthly cost in dollars. So we're going to say for each song purchased, the monthly cost in dollars increases by 1 because it's up 2 over 2. Right now, the y-intercept. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is 10. And what does the y-intercept mean in the context of this data? That to purchase 0 songs, it costs $10. So that must be the fee that this particular music store charges to belong to a certain club. All right, we're going to move on to the next example, weight of a bucket. We have sand as our independent in pounds, amount of sand, and weight of the bucket as our dependent variable. And the slope here, again, I'm going to find a couple of lattice points that are convenient, and any of these work. And I'll use the first two. And my rise and my run is up 1 to the right 1. So again, my slope is 1. How do I interpret that slope in the context of this scatter plot? As the amount of sand increases by 1 pound, the weight of the bucket also increases by 1 pound. Then we're asked to interpret the y-intercept. Okay, the y-intercept is 1. And what does that mean in the context of the problem? That if 0 pounds of sand are added or are in the bucket, the weight of the bucket is 1 pound. So that's just the weight of the bucket with no sand in it, right? Let's look over here. We'll do one more example, the water in pool. We have time in minutes and we have water in gallons. So the slope again is rise over run. So here's my lattice point. I'm going up 10 and I'm going over 2, so that's a slope of 5. How do I interpret that in the context of the problem? As the number of minutes increases by 1, the water in gallons in the pool increases by 5 gallons. And then it's talking about the y-intercept. Well, let's look at that y-intercept. What do we see? We see a y-intercept of 10. What does that mean in the context of the problem? At 0 minutes into the experiment or into the filling of the pool, there are 10 gallons of water. In other words, the initial value is 10 gallons in the pool. So that's how we use a scatter plot and the line of best fit to interpret the slope and the y-intercept of a linear model.